Example 5. We're going to determine all vertical asymptotes of f of x equals tangent of x. And we're going to do this using our definition of vertical asymptotes using limits. So we know that tangent of x equals sine of x over cosine of x. And we know, just from algebra, that we get a vertical asymptote when cosine of x equals 0. And we know this because the denominator can't be 0. So then we know that tangent of x has infinitely many vertical asymptotes. And we know this because when we graph it, we're going to get all of those asymptotes over and over. And so we're going to look at the interval, 0 to 2 pi. And I know this gives us 2 periods of it, but we're going to say cosine of x equals 0. And what we want to do is we want to find out when does cosine of x equal 0 on that interval. Well, it equals 0 when we have x is equal to pi over 2 and when x is equal to 3 pi over 2. So we have 2 places where we have a vertical asymptote on that interval. We also know that the period of tangent is pi. So that means that we have a vertical asymptote repeating every pi plus whatever the x value is. So to say all of the vertical asymptotes, we say that x is equal to pi over 2 plus pi k, and x is equal to 3 pi over 2 plus pi k, where k exists in the integers. And this is because it can be a positive or negative number. This is the way that we write all of the vertical asymptotes for tangent. Now notice that if you take pi over 2 and add pi to it, you're going to get your 3 pi over 2 value. So because of that, we can actually just reduce our answers to x is equal to pi over 2 plus pi k, where k is an integer. And this is a better condensed answer. So basically this means that we have repeating asymptotes, but we want to write it in an infinite setting without having to list every single one over and over. So now on your own, I want you to try to determine the vertical asymptotes for cotangent of x for all x values. All right, so let's look at it. So we get that f of x is equal to cotangent of x. And we know that that is equal to cosine of x divided by sine of x. And so what we need to do is look at where the denominators equal to 0. And so we have it's equal to 0 when x is 0 and when x is pi on the interval 0 to 2 pi. So then our vertical asymptotes are going to be, we let k exist in the integers, then x is equal to 0 plus pi k, and x is equal to pi plus pi k. But notice that 0 plus pi is pi, so we can condense this down to one statement, which is x is equal to pi k.